The art for this episode is credit to Artsy Marxist. Please follow her on YouTube and on Twitter for more wonderful artsy things and occasionally hot leftist takes. Also, she's crafting a wonderful intro for this podcast, so please keep in touch and we'll hopefully have the intro on to future episodes. Welcome to the Mongols podcast. I'm your host, Samwise J. Morgenstern, and this is my friend Madison.
Howdy ho.
And here we are to cover segment 2 of our cover of their Chagataws, otherwise known as I Will Survive.
I will survive.
And this is mainly known as I Will Survive because the Chagataws are actually, technically speaking, the longest surviving of the various Mongol successor states, like just starting from like the original 5-ish Khanates. So they like basically survive everyone who either gets conquered or assimilated, and somehow they're just still there in one form or another right up until like the 1700s. So wow.
Wow, indeed.
Yep, and we're currently going through a big primary source, courtesy of my friend the Jackmeister. And this is known as the Tariq-e-Rashidi by Mirza Muhammad Haidar Duglat. He is a general for the Chagatayids and a governor of Kashmir during the 16th century. And during this period, the region that he's governing is actually known as Mangalai Suya, and it's right around like the easternmost reaches of the Chagatai Khanate, otherwise known as Xinjiang province. And that's so we're right around this general purpose area when it comes to our geography on our author. Now, I know that's going to come into a lot of heat with modern politics because everybody's talking about the Uyghurs. I am not a source on the Uyghurs, so I'd say just Google the stuff and you'll probably be much better off than trying to listen to me.
Get it? Gotcha. Sometimes you gotta do your own research, you know?
Exactly. So just really go on there and I'm not going to get into the whole argument on what is exactly going on there in Xinjiang. So anyways, this region in the Eastern Chagatayids is actually known in this time period as the Turpan Khanate. And this, along with the Yarkand Khanate, actually split off from the Timurid Empire during the 1460s and the 1480s. The rulers are also known as sultans. This is obviously a big reference to the fact that they have a very large Muslim population, probably a majority. And like most primary source works on Mongol history, you begin your work by praising your bosses.
Well, you know, to make it to the top, you gotta kiss a lot at the bottom.
Oh, yes, this is a lot of kissing. And we start with tracing everything, starting off on the book, with Tughlaq Timur Khan, and he lived and reigned during the mid-14th century. And this goes all the way through, and this tracing goes all the way through Chinggis's ancestors as well. So there's a lot of different people to go through, and then we get to Tughlaq Timur's predecessor, Esembuka Khan, who unfortunately had no plan for succession and just died.
Wow.
Yep, that's a recipe for disaster.
You know, live fast, die young, leave a good-looking corpse, but maybe also leave some kids around so that you have a successful empire after you die.
Indeed. Except this is the Chinggisids, so you might want to add in a lot of alcohol as well.
Alcohol, yeah, a lot of drinky.
Honestly, I'm surprised that more Genghis' heirs haven't wandered out of their tents drunk and died.
Oh man.
Like seriously, we have I've looked through the history books and I've tried to find others, but so far we only have one Chinggisid prince who actually died of alcoholism.
Wow.
Which is impressive considering how drunk they've gotten. Like it always seems like, oh my goodness, how much more booze can they take?
Oh, yeah, no. You gotta party like a rock star, or party like a, well, one of these guys. Any rock star should party like them.
I don't know about that. That might actually get you killed more quickly than a rock star.
Maybe.
But anyways, back to the whole chaos in the Chagataw Khanate. So there's a whole bunch of chaos on people fighting over who is going to be the next Han, and
Who
one.
wants to be the next?
So, yep, that's all right. So there's an ancestor of the author by the name of Bulaji Tuglat, and he decides, I am going to go on a noble quest to find the heir to Asambuca by sending my friend Tasher Timur to continue finding the heir. Yeah, it's weird.
And I mean, it works for him.
Yep, and after a great deal of searching and lots of infighting in the Khanate, they finally find one of Esambuka's sons by this one woman named Manlik, and this is the future Tughlaq Timur. And Tughlaq Timur is brought back to the Chagataw court, and while en route, they nearly lose him after he falls down a fissure in the ice. That's a close call.
No, not that guy. I mean, you get there and you get the instant cold shoulder. Cold shatter, I should say.
Indeed. So, as shortly after they arrive in court and make Tughlaq Timur a sheikh meets Tughlaq Timur on a hunting party, and they and the sheikh persuades Tughlaq Timur to actually free a Tajik, one of the locals, and the sheikh declines a horse offer to him because it is considered dirty by him, and
man, he looked the gift horse in the mouth. You're not supposed to do that.
Well, he eventually decides, I'm going to take this horse, but not before I put a handkerchief on the saddle before I mount.
Oh, he's one of those guys. But he's a guy who likes to keep things clean.
Yes, very much so. And Tughlaq is convinced by this sheikh to promise to convert to Islam. And with that, the sheikh kind of dies with a bit of a smile on his face because he's like, great, he's going to convert soon. I guarantee it. And a little bit of time passes by, and eventually the sheikh's son arrives at Tughlaq Timur's court. And he pleads with Tughlaq Timur, please convert to Islam. We'd love to have you. And Tughlaq Timur's like, well, I suppose I did make a promise to your dad, so I guess I'll do it. So he converts, and he prepares for a campaign in Mawara Anar. And this is basically right around like northeastern Persia, and this is also sometimes known as, I believe, Khorasan. And this, at least during this time period.
Oh, okay, not that Khorasan, the other Khorasan.
I don't know which one you're talking about.
Star Wars one, my friend.
Oh my goodness, I'm terrible. I should know this kind of stuff.
I'm worse. Come on, man. Star Wars is your bag. You should
Oh, this is too true.
One thing you like as much as this.
Yeah, that's too true. And that and Percy Jackson.
And Percy Jackson, which is God bless Rick Riordan. Or God's bless, considering.
Lots of God's blessing that.
Alright, but back to our story.
Yep. And so the camp, and this is for reference right next to the residence of one prince by the name of Timur Lang, otherwise known as Tamerlane. And yes, he's been covered on this podcast before, and he is a very brutal person. Even by Mongol standards. Like, this guy makes Mongols quiver. It's like, what in the heck did you do down there?
Oh my.
Like, seriously, one time he was on campaign in, I believe it was India, and he encountered an army with a whole bunch of elephants in tow. So his solution to take care of the elephants was basically to send a whole bunch of burning camels at the elephants.
Wow, people just don't like to send burning other animals at elephants because the Romans did the same thing, but they set pigs on fire.
Yep! That's actually like the big secret weapon supposedly against elephants. Just set a bunch of pigs on fire. And I'm just like, why are you doing all these things?
You said burning, like, I bet the elephants don't know what the pigs are, and now they're on fire, and the pigs are shrieking at the top of their lungs because they're on fire.
I know! It's terrible animal cruelty.
At least it's better than what they did to the horses.
Well,
I believe it was the Romans when they caught somebody on horseback, and the horses were giving them trouble. They would take dogs and they would give them spiked harnesses and make the dogs run under the horse, and you know what's gonna happen.
Oh yeah, that's gonna spook the horse, or scratch him.
The dog would disembowel the horse with the spikes on its harness.
Ew.
Yeah, and the poor horse is probably already having a bad time because horses are kind of skittish, so it's like,
yeah,
not fair. Get the rider, not the horse. The horse doesn't want to be there in the first place.
This is too true. Yeah.
But let's get back to our story once again. Just make sure we're staying on topic.
Yep. So this campaign goes along very successfully, mostly because nobody really has enough of an army to compete with the Chagatayids. Timur decides to surrender his realm to Tughlaq-Timur, and Tughlaq-Timur does a bit more campaigning in the area, and he's specifically wiping out a few other princes in the area, like Bayezid Jalair and Haji Barlas, and they're taken care of. And another prince, Timur's future sort of frenemy, is forced to flee. And in the meantime, our good friend Tughlaq-Timur, he goes to Samarkand, and he expects some betrayal from some of his men. He specifically finds out a certain Bayan Saldus, so he takes care of him, and he kills some other disloyal people, and he rewards his son Ilyas Khwaja and Timur Lang with a lot of territory.
Wow, a magical time at summer camp.
Yes, a magical time at summer camp with a lot of execution of anybody who may or may not be disloyal to you. It's wonderful.
It's a good team building activity because whoever's left will be on your team or die.
Yep. So, and shortly after Tughlaq-Timur leaves to go home, Hussein returns to the area. And this is just a wonderful timely arrival for Hussein because Tughlaq-Timur actually just died. Yeah, he's 24. Really live fast, die hard. Or die young.
And how did he go?
Actually, I don't think my source specified. But considering everything, I'm pretty sure I can blame alcohol.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because this is the Chinggisids. They usually have a drinking problem, unless you're the women for some reason. I don't know how you gals do it, but for whatever reason, you keep out the booze and you're good about staying off of it.
You figure. My guess is they were just on about it, but well, I don't know, they were drinking kumis. Maybe we just have higher standards. I don't know.
True.
Because remember, until you meet your vodka aunt and your wine mom. So
That is too true. And anyways, Timur is happy that Hussein is back in the area, so they get together and start forming plans, and they get another prince on board by the name of Boldai, and they start seizing power in the area, and their camp is in a place called Bada Kashau, and the local princes in that area they go to Timur and they ask him to take down Tughlaq Saldus, and they manage to do that pretty easily. And then they hear about some other trouble from some other people in the area, and so Timur sends Emir Musa with about 500 men to a stone bridge. And basically, their plan there is that they basically light a whole bunch of campfires to basically say we have a lot more guys than we actually do, and basically everybody's like, holy crap, Timur has a giant army, we might as well run.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of people have done this maneuver before.
Yeah.
Guys, you know who else does this maneuver?
Who?
Zebras.
Oh.
Zebras, well, you know why they have stripes, right?
Go on.
It's to confuse predators, but they do that because the stripes make them blend into each other, so a lion can't pick one out. Makes it look like there's more zebras than there actually is sometimes. And so it gets confusing, and if the lion or other animal, although the lions are their main predators, sometimes leopards, can't pick out a zebra, he might miss and end up catching the hook to the face, or she might miss if we're talking lions, considering
right, because right, the female lions do most of the hunting.
And then cats do something similar on a one-on-one basis. You know, they'll puff up, they'll make themselves look bigger, they'll shriek, they'll hiss like a snake. That's why cats hiss, it's to make themselves look like snakes.
Right.
And most animals are afraid of snakes.
Yep.
And I've seen cats chase away bears.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes your best defense is to look scarier than you really are. It's a tried and true statement in both war and nature.
Yep, this is a tactic that's going to keep on showing up, and I like to call this a sort of bluff like Belisarius. He's a great Byzantine general, mostly known, and this is kind of like his primary trick. He makes sure that he looks a lot bigger than he actually is, and everybody's kind of freaked out. And then they don't notice that a whole bunch of professional Roman soldiers have showed up and started to whoop your butt.
Yeah, that's how you do.
Yep, and so they win at the stone bridge, and they start approaching another part of Khorasan known as Kulaga, and the locals there beg for protection from what is known as Jata. This is actually the Chagatayids. So naturally, Timur's army decides to get some leafy branches to start kicking up dust. And this is basically to show that once again exaggerate the numbers of cavalry that they have in the area. So naturally, Jata starts thinking that Timur has a lot more horsemen than he actually does. So they decide to leave. And Timur,
clever.
Yep. And Timur decides to go to bed, and he's happy for a little while because, well, he won a bunch of victories, he's got a bunch of people behind him, and God shows up to him in a dream, and he's like, hey, Timur! Yeah? It's God! What do you want me to do, God? There's this guy by the name of Ilyas Quaja. Yeah, I know, I'm technically serving him, but sort of not serving him. How about you just kill him? And Timur's like, are you crazy? His army is way too big. And God's like, just trust me, Timur. You will win.
God, he had the power of God, and, well, anime won't be invented for several centuries, but he had the power of God at least.
Indeed. So basically Timur's like, all right. If God believes that I can win, then I will do my best. So he basically goes out there with his army and challenges Ilyas Quaja, and it's a very difficult fight. but eventually he wins. He captures Ilyas Quasha, and he and Hussein they meet and they give each other high fives over the new victory, and they appoint a puppet over the Chagatahids in the meanwhile that they're hopefully trying to enforce, and this guy is named Kabil Shan Ogloon. And there's a little bit of less raiding, more administration in this very short time period, like maybe like a few months. And in the meantime, the Chagatahids are trying to get back Ilyas Quasha, and so they keep on attacking. So they attack and they lose, and then they try to go after Samarkand, which is right around where Timur is. And unfortunately, just as they reach the area, they catch a giant horse plague, and they're forced to leave.
What's that?
So, like, the horses apparently got a giant, like, epidemic of whatever is going on there, and it's killing them off.
Oh no, they had hoof and mouth. Okay. No, that was I bet if there were veterinarians back then, they would have known what had happened. They would have been like, yeah, that's totally horse rot. I don't know horses. I'm better with cats and dogs. That's my area of expertise.
Yep.
Especially cats. But horses super important to the Mongols, are they not?
Yep. They're horse archers.
There are horse archers, and back then that's how you get around. Some people debate now and then which animal was more important to the founding of human civilization, the horse or the dog. The argument goes that the horse was more useful in the long run because transportation is what got humans moving around.
Yeah. But having
the dog, we would have never domesticated the horse because we wouldn't know how. Dogs taught us how to bring animals into our lives. We were like, hey, we brought this wolf into our house, and now the wolf is keeping the bears away. This is awesome. We should do this with other animals.
Yep. That's genius.
People go back and forth about this. That's why people go back and forth. Some say, yeah, but the dog, in the long run, the dogs are useful. They didn't actually aid civilization that much besides teaching us how to domesticate animals. And then people are like, yes, but you can always give reverence to your predecessors. So people go back and forth on that one.
I think I'll give preference to the dog on this one because, well, I mean, like, it guards your food. It's an extra food source, so when you really, really are desperate, and it leads to domesticating other animals, that's pretty awesome.
Yep, it does keep you safe, and it teaches you how to get some more friends. It's a bit like Pokemon, except you don't make them fight unless you're the Romans, and then you do that. Everybody, because I'm sorry, I saw someone trying to make an argument. Oh, that's just dog fighting. I'm like, sweetie, people have been doing this since the beginning of time. I don't think a few guys from Japan making a video game are going to make people make their dogs fight any more than they already are.
Yep. Also,
let's continue.
Yep, indeed. So anyways, the horse plague forces the Chagatai army to leave the area, and Timur decides to send some recon into more Chagatai territory. And in the meantime, Ilyas Quasha dies in captivity. And oof.
I can remember when that happened to the Tasmanian tiger. It was very sad.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, that's a silly joke.
It's all right. I got it.
Died in captivity. Oh man, that what a way to go to a warrior guy doing stuff. I should actually be careful using the term proud guy because that means something else these days. But it's like, and then you die a captive. Oh, what a way to go.
Well, at least you don't get the weird rules that are usually associated with the proud guys.
Yeah, that's fair. You don't want to be one of those proud guys. That's no bueno.
Like
no bueno for nobody.
Like seriously, you somehow managed to get your leader to shove a butt plug up his whatsies to own the libs, and I'm just like, wait, what?
Alright, that's trying to get to. I mean, and though I agree with you, Yana, podcast. That is very silly. Let's make sure we stay on topic here. I don't know how now. And once again, I'm with you on this one. That I don't. If you're so proud, then I don't know. I don't know. Last time I checked, being proud stuff as well, not just pride, but which I realize is a bit not quite how words work, but you know what I mean.
Yep.
But this is not that kind of podcast. This is a podcast about the Mongols, so we better get back to the Mongols.
Yep. And so Timur decides to try to get in on the succession crisis and prop up his puppet. And unfortunately, while he's trying to raid in the area, Storm thwarts him in that short campaign. So he goes back home, and he's going to be like, all right, let's try again in just a little bit. So he waits until a new campaign season, and he sends his friend Zada Jahangir to recon. And the local commander in the area, Kamaruddin, he's like, this is Timur. That's probably bad news. So I'm going to try to withdraw and hopefully find a more suitable battlefield. But Zada Jahangir forces him onto a battle and basically takes him down. And Kamaruddin's family is captured. And Timur celebrates. Yep. Timur gets some drinks all around, and he's like, also, Kamaruddin has a very hot daughter, so I'm going to marry her.
Oh man, this is some. That's not great.
Well, it's not. I hope. It's not great for the daughter. It's great for Timur, though.
That's fair. It is great for Timur. That is some. That is some classic storytelling there. I mean, and though it is history, you know how it always goes.
Yep.
I don't suppose there's a plumber in blue overalls coming to save her, is there?
Definitely not. I don't know.
That's a stupid joke. That's another stupid one, but.
Yep. And Jahangir keeps on advancing further into Chagataw territory. And they win at Kermina, and Timur is happy about this, so he kills some more people opposing him. And Kamaruddin tries to get another army and beat Timur, but Timur once again takes him down. And he's happy. He gets a victory. He has drinks all around, and then he asks, "How's my son Jahangir doing?" Timur? Yeah, we hate to break this to you. Your son's dead.
Ouch.
So Timur's like, why? So he's.
We now know what his least favorite kind of tomato is.
What do you mean?
Son died. It's his least favorite kind of tomato.
Oh my goodness, that's terrible. Madison.
It's awful. I know. I'm sorry.
Well, it's a good thing Timur is dead.
Yeah, it's a good thing he's been dead for several hundred years.
Yeah, he also...
Maybe even some thousands.
Hundreds, mostly. And it's a good thing that...
dead with numbers, okay?
Yep. And it's a good thing, too. And he also died in one of the weirdest ways I can ever imagine. Yeah, well, actually, it doesn't show up in this book. At least not from what I've researched so far. This is actually stuff I've covered in a previous episode. Basically, he was trying to conquer China, and while he was in the Himalayas, he apparently drank too much ice water and got a cold or something and died.
Oh man, now that's why, folks, you always ask for
the tap. Indeed.
No, man, that is well. I've heard of weirder. Remember, Napoleon Bonaparte, whatever. He died of lead poisoning because he got locked in a house on an island for the rest of his days. Yeah, it was either lead or
I remember. Yeah.
And then, although this isn't though not a horrible dictator, there's a theory that how Amelia Earhart went. Though the assumption is the most likely Occam's razor answer is they crashed on an island and they made it out. the reason they couldn't find the remains, some people state, is because there was coconut crabs on the island.
Coconut crabs?
Look it up. They're terrifying. They're huge, and they are, like most crabs, omnivores. And I'm not saying they killed Amelia Earhart, but they did dispose of the body very efficiently. And her good friend. The theory is that these guys, the reason we can't find her is because somewhere in the ocean, with little crab chewing marks on them, are her bones.
That's kind of horrifying, but okay.
Yeah, no, don't mess with coconut crabs. They'll eat you.
Yep.
They're tiny claws.
Yep. Anyways, back to the Mongols. So I guess as a sort of coping mechanism, Timur decides to send another raid into Chagatai lands, and he has a nice successful pillage party. And in the meantime, he gets a wonderful new guest by the name of Toktamish. He is actually a guest from Russia, in my manner of speaking. Like he's from the Mongol parts of Russia. He's a distant heir to one of the Khanes down there. I believe it's known as the Blue Horde, and that's like an offshoot of the Khanate of the Golden Horde, which is.
Huh? Don't tell that to Warcraft fans.
I think they might already know, but whatever. But anyway, so Toktamish is down there because I got kicked out of my home and I'm looking for a place to stay, maybe some men to help me along. And Timur's like, well, I just got a good, nice, successful pillage raid. I got some guys around me. I say, stay as long as you need to, my friend. And Toktamish is like, sounds good to me. And so they remain friends for a very short little while, although as some people who may have listened to this podcast before know, this friendship is going to end very badly. Mostly for Toktamish. So anyways, in the meantime, we're going to ask for status on Kamaruddin, the local Chagatai commander, and he's dead. And in the meantime, Timur decides to appoint a new Han Han for the Chagatayans, and this is Kizir Khwaja. Kizir Khwaja is appointed, and he marries a woman by the name of Tavakul Khanim, and and this goes on for a short little while, and he is succeeded by a certain Muhammad, and he built some stuff, and then his maternal nephew Vais Han is serving him in the meantime, and the author is a distant descendant of, I believe, Vais Han on his father's side. And Amir Said Ali, he's in the area, so he's going to marry his son to Isambuka Han's daughter, and so he does that. And meanwhile, while he's enjoying the wedding premises, he looks upon the daughter of Mirza Shahrukh, who is actually Timur's successor of sorts after Timur dies trying to conquer China, and his sons and grandsons can fight a whole bunch load over his empire. So he basically asks her out, although he's probably a little old, and she refuses him, and he is thrown in prison. And he nearly dies of dysentery.
Oh man, that's a horrible way to go. Damn, it's a good thing he avoided it.
Well, yeah, he just narrowly dodged death, and apparently that was thanks to Kumis.
Maybe he shouldn't have been dysentery. Maybe he should have been leaving Terry alone.
That's putting it mildly. So, anyways, and then he escapes, and he goes back to Khorasan, and he is disguised and he's disguised among the Kalandar caravan. And Vei's Han has fallen on hard times, so he decides to become a bandit, and some people rally to him. And Vei's Han evades his uncle until his death. And then he takes over for a little while, but he has some problems in battle, and Amir Said Ali actually saves his butt, so they become friends for a little while. And then briefly, I believe Vei's is captured by a certain Izam Taishu, and for reference, that's basically that's Izam I believe disloyal prime minister, basically. Because that's what Taishu means. He's a prime minister, and, well, he isn't very good at his job, so he's just betraying his Hans. Yay.
Oh, man.
Yep, so...
It's gonna be good.
Yep, and anyways, as ransom, Vei's sister, Maktum Khanim, is ransom. And so basically she's sent and she gets married to get him free, and basically he goes back, and then we go to Amir Kudaid, who lives in the area, and he's one of the many princes that serves Vei's Han, and he lives a very long life, about 90 years. And he's not particularly rich, but he's apparently fairly good at working miracles. He apparently wanted to go on Hajj or pilgrimage to Mecca, but Vei's Han declines because he's like, just don't go. I don't really want you there right now at the moment. But Kudaid's buddy, Mirza Ulugh Beg, he decides to go over there, and he talks to Vei's, and Vei's is kind of sad that Kudaid hasn't gone to Mecca or Medina yet, so he lets him go, and he allows the whole pilgrimage party to return home. And in the meantime, Satyak Khan is in town, and he's making a mess of things. So Mirza Ulugh Beg goes after him and kicks him out of the house. And then Satyak later comes back, and in the meantime, as they're trying to figure out a meeting with Vei's actually drowns. That's not a good time. And in the meantime, there's some disorder in the Chagataw Hanate, and Satyak actually dies. And a whole bunch of kids actually, a whole bunch of Vei's Han's kids actually break up Mir Muhammad Shah, who Vei's used to serve a little while ago. And then Amir Said Ali is making some good time, so he decides to raid Kashgar. And he pursues his enemy by discarding his armor for more speed, and he eventually overtakes his enemy. I believe it was, Isambuka Han gains a bit more power. There's a bit more infighting in the Hane. Not that there was any less, really, but that's all right. And Isambuka gets to Aksu, and he attacks this one, and he attacks Sairam and Tashkent. That's the region. And Abu Sa'id Mirza, he's the local ruler in the area, and he flees right before Isambuka. And he, in the meantime, tries to go all the way to Iraq, but Isambuka prevents him from going there. And in the meantime, he talks to Isambuka's brother, Yunus Han, and Yunus is like, I don't wanna, this is my brother, I'm going to fight him, so naturally they get a little messy.
Yeah, no, they didn't have get-along shirts back then.
Oh, definitely not, and certainly not if you're Chinggis's prince. You're certainly not getting along with your brother. Your usual option when you're Chinggis heir is you're going to invite your brother, maybe to a party, and maybe you have some knives ready. Either that or you're getting him drunk and breaking his back or something. I don't know. Either way, you're getting rid of your brother.
You know.
So, yep. So there's a lot of brotherly infighting down there. And in the meantime, we're looking at Abu Khair, and he rules over the Dashti Kipchak, and that's right around the area. I believe just north of just north of our coverage on Isambuka and his feuding with Yunus, and the Abu Khair, he fights the Juji Sultans, and then he died, and power goes to the Uzbeks, and there's a little bit of chaos going around in the meantime. The Kazakh Sultans also tried to do a bit of a takeover. It doesn't exactly work out. And so we go through a few more successors. First, Karai, then Baranduk, then Kazim, then Mimash, then Tair, and the Kazakhs are meanwhile on the decline for a little bit. And there's this one guy, Abu Said Mirza. He has Samarkand, and he calls to Yunus Khan, hey, and they have a good nice chat, and they mostly talk about what's been happening with the Timurids. And the Timurids have had a lot of chaos going around ever since Timur died, and Shah Rukh has become the main takeover. And they have this one guy by the name of Maulan Sharafuddin Yazdi who's tutoring in the meantime, and Abu Said takes Khorasan, and he tries to take Iraq. There's not much success, and Yunus visits. And he's in the meantime, and he's generally ignored by the princes. In the meantime, his brother Izambuka dies. Rest in peace. And his son Dost Muhammad succeeds to the khanship. And everybody's happy for about 7 years-ish. And he does some good ruling for a good little while. And then he decides to actually develop a crush on one of his dad's wives. Yay! This is going.
I'm sorry, it was a recipe for disaster.
Oh my goodness! Did you need to predict the future? Because that's exactly what's going to happen.
Well, I didn't predict the future, I predicted the past. That is the future for these people who live in history.
Yep, so our good friend Dost Muhammad, he tries to get permission for an alliance with his dad's wife, and a whole bunch of people say, please do not do this. Please do not try dating your stepmom, basically.
Yeah, no, this isn't even a Billy don't be a hero. This is Billy, this is stupid. You're gonna get yourself killed.
So
you're not gonna be a hero even if you win.
So anyways, he's like, I'm not gonna listen to you guys. He kills them all in a drunken rage, and he goes to his mentor swords, Maulana. That's the Yazdi guy that I mentioned earlier, and he's drunk in the meantime. And he's basically like, is it okay for me to marry my stepmom? And he says, Dost Muhammad, sure, go right ahead and do that. So Dost Muhammad,
oh man, don't enable him.
It's all right. So Dost Muhammad gets all the wedding preparations ready. He invites his stepmom over, and then he gets sick with a fever.
He gets a fever.
In the meantime, Eunice is struggling with the princes, and he wants to move back. He wants to move his court to Aksu. And we get some very interesting news from Das Muhammad. He's dead from the fever.
Oh man, he had a fever, and I guess someone had to stop it. Apparently, it was God.
I was like, God was like, I forbid this Oedipus complex, so you die. Go, die.
We've already seen this enough times. Get this out of my face.
Seriously, you know how many times I had to cringe through Egypt? Like, seriously, that was so much cringe. Like, how many times the Egyptian pharaohs have to marry their sisters before they realize it's a bad idea? What?
Well, moving forward.
Yep. So, anyways, Turkestan fights Yunus and by attacking his camp while he's hunting. But he is not happy that somebody attacked his camp while he was out hunting, so he counters back, and many from Turkestan are slaughtered. And then Yunus goes to Tashkent. In the meantime, Abu Said Mirza, he dies. And Yunus Khan is actually secretly opposed by some of his followers, and he is imprisoned for a year. And his wife is passed around first to Mirza Omar Shaikh, then Jamal Khan, and Yunus is not happy that his wife is basically being passed around. So eventually he gets out, and he kills Jamal Khan, and in the meantime, he's trying to make sure that he stays in power, and the emirs are like, all right, we'll agree to that, but don't go to Aksu for a little while. And he agrees to that, sort of. And in the meantime, Kabak Sultan Oglan, he tries to run some interference against Yunus, but he's killed by his own followers. And his followers carry his head over to Yunus Khan, and Yunus Khan is like, well, I'm glad that you took this guy off my hands, but I'm still going to kill you guys because you guys. Anyway, so he kills them because they basically stole his kill, and then he marries his daughter to Omar Shaikh because they've made nice recently. And Omar talks, and they keep on talking for a while, and they also decide to end the slavery of Mughals. That means basically that they're not going to enslave any Mongols who live in the area, which is good, I guess.
Well, that works out. Because the Mongols who don't live in the area might have had some problems with that.
Yep, indeed.
The Mongols who did live in the area probably had some problems with that, but couldn't do much about it.
Indeed. So in the meantime, Musa actually got the name wrong. It's Muhammad Haidar Mirza. He gets Kashgar, and they briefly talk about the good old days of Das Muhammad before he decided to try to get up his stepmom's pants. Those are interesting times. But anyways, and with that in mind, I believe we're going to end it here, because I've got a lot more to cover later on, about 600 pages worth of this text called the Tariq-i Rashidi, and we're going to return in the future with more coverage. And anyways, this has been the Mongols Podcast with Sam Y.J. Morgenstern and my friend Madison. So anyways, this has been the Mongols Podcast with Sam Y.J. Morgenstern and my friend Madison, and we're going to say bye now.
Madison.
So, bye.
Luego. Bye. And have a wonderful day, everybody.
As Blue Heaven
Stay
wills
away
it.
From horse plagues and trying to marry your stepmom.
Indeed. Well, love you guys. And bye.
If you like this segment of the Mongols podcast, be sure to follow me on Twitter at YoungBards101, like our Facebook page at History with Samwise J. Morgenstern, and follow us on Tumblr at GoSJM42 on GoSJM42 Mongol History. You can also support us on Anchor or Patreon. As always, our sources are in the description, and we also have rewards for our patrons ranging from shoutouts to polls. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. And as always, Blue Heaven wills everything.